It was another Monday to die, and the air in the classroom was filled with a scent of pressure. I sat in the back row, playing with my head lowered, and my brain was full of humiliated by Zhang Hao's bastard yesterday. The guy brought several followers, pointed at my nose and stung me as a waste, threw my bag into the trash can next to him. The people around him were laughing, so much that I wanted to find a place to diamond. Lin Fan. Are you in a daze again? Get up and answer the question. The mathematician teacher on the lecture stage suddenly yelled, pulling me back from his memory. I was excited and stood up, looking at the complex function on the blackboard. My brain was blank. I hesitated, my face burning like a fire. In the class, he laughed and said, Zhang Hao, who was sitting in the front row, turned his head and threw a mocking look at me, and muttered deliberately, waste is a waste, and it doesn't matter, can you let anyone else be wiped out? I clenched my fists tightly, and I was so angry that my teeth were so stubborn that I couldn't help, but what could I do? I have achieved a lot of learning, and I can't do anything, and I don't even have the bottom of my mouth. The teacher sighed and slapped my hand to let me sit down, his eyes filled with disappointment. After finally reaching the next class, I was about to sneak out of the classroom to get some fun, but I ran into Zhang Hao head-on. He smiled and hugged me, and several followers next to him followed him. Come, the wasteland forest, how are you feeling today? Did you come back yesterday? Zhang Hao, are you finished? I gritted my teeth and replied in a low voice. Yi, dare you still speak up? Zhang Hao sneered, grabbed my clothes and pushed me to the corner of the wall. I just don't think of you as a sub-bag. What's wrong? Don't accept it. Come on, hit me. There were a lot of people around me, pointing at me, but no one dared to speak to me. The fire in my heart was getting stronger and stronger, but my arm was so painful that it couldn't be opened at all. Just when I thought I was going to be beaten up again, a roar suddenly came from the corridor. Zhang Hao. Lin Fan. What are you fucking? Let me go to the teaching center. It is Director Wang. The middle-aged man who had been stern and arrested all day long, walked over in a rustic outfit. Zhang Hao relaxed his hand and changed into an innocent expression. Director, we are just kidding, nothing is wrong. Just? Can you push someone on the wall when you joke? Director Wang snorted coldly, looked at me, his eyes full of evil. Lin Fan, you are causing trouble again, please stand. Stand until the break at the gym. Zhang Hao, write a review for me and hand it over tomorrow. What are you worried about? It's obviously him who is the first to take action. I couldn't help but roar, feeling a little frustrated in my heart. As a result, Director Wang glared in his voice-raised octave. Are you still talking? Say one more thing, stand until night. I was so angry that my body was trembling, but I still didn't dare to say anything anymore, so I could only follow him to the playground with my head down. Zhang Hao smiled from behind, gave me a middle finger, muttering in his mouth with a small voice, wait and see. At the gym, the scorching sun was on my head, and my legs were numb, sweat was flowing down my head, and my heart was full of anger and helplessness. Why do I have trouble every time? Why can't I do anything? Oh my God, if you can give me some skills, I will make Zhang Hao and Director Wang look good. I don't know how long I stood, my brain was almost bleak. Suddenly I heard a sound from afar. Lin Fan, why are you still standing here? You're almost out of school. I turned my head and saw that it was Xiaoya. She was wearing a school uniform, wearing a horsetail, a worried look on her face, and a bottle of water in her hand. Xiaoya. It's okay, the director has done it. I reluctantly smiled and took the mineral water she had come to, and my heart warmed up. Xiaoya is my childhood friend and always helps me silently. Although I have never said it, I remember her kindness to me in my heart. Director Wang is too serious. He always treats you. Xiaoya pouted and said angrily, and Zhang Hao's guy, who has bullied others because he has money at home. Please ignore them and bear it. Horse? I've been tolerating for 3 years. I suddenly drooled, my voice filled with affliction. Xiaoya, I really don't want to be a waste anymore. I want to become stronger. I want those who look down on me to shut their mouths. Xiaoya was stunned for a moment, then patted my shoulder lightly. You will, Lin Fan, I believe in you. Her words shocked my heart, but I still smiled bitterly and slammed my head. Strengthened? It's easy to say. I always do the tail of the car when I take the exam. How did it change? However, at this moment, a sudden buzz sounded in my brain, as if I was hit by something. Then, a cold voice sounded in my ears. The talent copying system has been activated. The host can copy other people's talents. Can you experience it immediately? I was stunned. What's the matter? System? Talent copy? What's going on? Can you tell me that I have had heat stroke? I swallowed, my heart beat like a drum, and tried to touch and replied in my heart, acknowledge it. Ding! The system is successfully started. The host can copy the other party's talents by contacting the target. Each copy lasts for 24 hours. Should the target be selected? My eyes were straight. What's this? True or fake? I looked down at myself. There was no change, but the thrill in my heart could no longer be suppressed. If this thing is true, then can I turn it over? Just as I was thinking, I walked past several classmates from a distance from the gym. One of them was Li Ming, the dominant in our class. He was the first in the grade every time he took the exam, and his brain was as smart as a computer. It's him. I felt a stir in my heart and said to Xiaoya, I'll try something first, wait for me. Then I quickly walked towards Li Ming. Hey, Li Ming, borrow a pencil? I made an excuse and patted his shoulder. The moment his hand touched him, the voice sounded again in his brain, ding. Is the target talent detected super strong learning ability? Is it copied? Copy. I shouted in my heart without hesitation. Ding! The copy was successfully copied, the super strong learning ability has been activated, and it lasted for 24 hours. The next second, I felt that my brain was filled with countless knowledge. The mathematical formulas, English words, and even physical laws that I couldn't understand were all simple as 1 + 1 = 2. I stood there in a daze, trying to recall the number of questions in the class just now, and the answers actually appeared in my brain, and I knew the steps to solve the questions clearly. Collection. Really or not? I couldn't help but whisper, feeling ecstatic. This system is awesome. I turned to look at Li Ming, and he was looking at me in confusion. Do you want to do it? Oh, no, thank you. I grinned, and my brain started to count. With this ability, what are I afraid of taking the exam? Didn't Director Wang always say that I was a waste? Isn't Zhang Hao always laughing at me for being a bad person? Okay, wait, I have to let your eyes fall off. When I got home in the evening, I didn't even eat, so I just found the course book and started to write questions. Things that I couldn't understand before were now simple and playful, and a question was solved in less than a minute, and even the old question Chen Yan in the wrong question book was solved. The more I write, the more excited I feel, and I feel like a genius. The next day, during the math class exam, I sat in my seat, looking at the test paper confidently. Those questions are nothing different from the primary school addition and reduction methods. In less than half an hour, I finished writing the entire paper and I was able to check it all and handed it over directly. Lin Fan, why did you hand in this fast way? Will you do it? The desk mate next to me asked me in a low voice, and his face was full of disbelief. Don't worry, it's absolutely. I blinked at him, and I had already had flowers in my heart. When the results were made in the afternoon, the mathematician teacher walked into the classroom with a test roll, and his face was as complicated as if he had seen a ghost. She glanced at the whole class and said in a deep voice, in this small exam, someone scored a lot, and the answers were very perfect, even more sophisticated than what I taught. The crock was blown up in the class, and everyone started to guess who it was. It was not very common in our class. Zhang Hao's guy was still muttering, it must be Li Ming, and the waste forest is expected to pass the exam. As a result, the next sentence of the mathematician teacher directly calmed down the class. The one who scored a lot is Lin Fan. What? Zhang Hao twisted his head suddenly, his eyes wide open like a copper-shaped bracelet, and his face was full of disbelief. I stood up calmly with my face, took the test paper, and threw a picky look at Zhang Hao. The private words in the class exploded instantly. Some were surprised, some were suspicious, and some even a few classmates applauded directly. After school, I was called to the teaching office again. Director Wang sat behind the desk, holding my test paper, his face turned red. Lin Fan, did you write this test paper yourself? Did you cheat? Director, you can't talk a lot. I replied with a smile, my language was full of confidence. I wrote the test paper on the spot, and the whole class was watching it. You can't cheat this hat. Director Wang was choked by me, and then snorted coldly after a while, okay, it's nothing if you take the exam once. If this happens next week, I apologize to you. But if I catch you and cheat, you think about the consequences yourself. Okay, Director, let's take a look. I heard my shoulders and turned around and walked out of the office, feeling so happy. I used to see him like a mouse and a cat, but today I was so proud. However, this is just now that I have not figured out the system's capabilities, and Zhang Hao's guy has not cleaned up. Next, I have to plan carefully so that this school can remember my name in full. The moment I walked out of the teaching staff, the pleasure in my heart was about to explode. On Director Wang's Zhang Haiqing's face, Zhang Hao heard me stunned for a while. I'm so sad. However, this is just the first step. I have not fully understood the system's ability. Next, I have to make good use of it and step on Zhang Hao's guy so that he will never face me again. When I returned to the classroom, I sat down and felt that the eyes around me were different. In the past, when everyone looked at me, they had to be sympathetic and ridiculed. Now they are a little more curious, and even a few classmates came to talk to me about why I suddenly became so bad. I simply found an excuse to fool me by I have worked hard recently and after all, I finally found this matter. Who would you believe me? Lin Fan, you are so awesome today, you're so good. Xiaopeng, the desk mate, crossed his face with admiration, with stars all over his eyes. Did you secretly report some supplementary classes? Teach me, I always fail in mathematics. Repair class? There is no need. I smiled and said in a low voice, in fact, it's just to make more questions and just open your brain. Xiaopeng was half believing and half doubted, and wanted to ask something else, but the next class suddenly got into trouble. I was always warm in the classroom, and the students walked out in 3 or 3. I packed my bags and prepared to go to the cafeteria to have a meal. But as soon as I walked to the corridor, I heard someone shouting from behind me, Lin Fan, stop. When I turned my head, it was indeed Zhang Hao. The guy, carrying 2 followers, his face as heavy as the sky before the rain, strode towards me. My heart was tight, but my face was still calm. What's wrong, Zhang Hao, what's wrong? Stop packing garlic with me. Zhang Hao sneered, stopped in front of me, and looked me up and down. If you get enough scores, do you think you are awesome? I'm here to tell you today. Don't think that the exam can jump in front of me. In the campus, I'll have the final say. Oh? Is that? I raised my eyebrows and deliberately replied in a contemptuous manner, what do you want to do? Do you want to do it again? Or, ask someone to write a review? There have been classmates around me who have begun to watch. When I heard this, many people couldn't help laughing. Zhang Hao's face became even more difficult to see, and he gritted his teeth and growled, Lin Fan, you are stubborn, right? Okay, I'll leave the school in the afternoon and see the basketball court. I want to see what skills do you have besides taking the exam. Basketball? I was stunned for a moment, and my heart was a little nervous. In fact, I am playing basketball skills, so I can't eat straightforwardly, and even the ball is shaking, let alone fighting against Zhang Hao's sports. He is the main player in the school basketball team. Isn't bullying me like playing? But all of them said that, if I don't answer, wouldn't I be ridiculed by him again? The classmates around me were still watching, and I pointed my head hard, okay, see you in the afternoon, just don't cry and shout and regret it. Ha ha ha, you are the waste, how dare you follow me? Zhang Hao laughed a few times, turned around with his companion, and left, and then said, "Wait, let you lose your face in the afternoon." After the crowd spread, I felt nervous. What should I do? If you really go play basketball, I will be beaten to a scum by Zhang Hao. But at this moment, the cold voice suddenly echoed in the brain, "Ding. I have detected the host's face challenge. Are you looking for a replicable genre target?" My eyes lit up. Yes, system. Why did I forget this? Since you can copy your learning ability, then your exercise ability is definitely okay, right? Thinking of this, I replied in my heart, "Find a goal." Ding! The system scan, the potential target in the campus was detected, the team leader Chen Feifei, who has a top-notch basketball talent. Will he go to contact? Chen Feifei? The guy appeared in my brain. Chen Feifei is a senior high school student and the trump card of the basketball team. He heard that he scored 100 shots, and the ball was like a magical move. Zhang Hao had to lower his head in front of him. If I could copy this day, would I be afraid of nothing? Go! I confirmed it, put on my bag and ran towards the ball. During lunch break, there was a group of people training at the basketball court, and I saw Chen Feifei at a glance. The guy was wearing a sports vest and was showing off his operations. After a few fake moves, he shook his opponent so hard that he couldn't find him. Then he made a three-pointer and entered the box smoothly, which attracted a lot of praise. I took a deep breath, walked over as if indifferently, and shouted to him, "Long student, the ball skills are so good. Can you teach me 2 tricks?" Chen Fei turned around and looked at me, probably because he looked at my face, and he casually pointed, "Okay, come on, try the ball." I took the ball. He came over, deliberately patted his shoulder, said, "Thank you, the senior," and said silently in my heart, "Copy." Ding! The target talent was detected. Top-level basketball technology. Was it copied? Copy. Ding! The copy was successfully made. The top-level basketball technology has been activated, and it lasts for 24 hours. The next second, I felt that my feet were extremely flexible, and my brain was full of all kinds of basketball skills, such as playing, throwing, and overcoming people, as if I was born to be the same. I lowered my head and looked at the ball in my hand. I felt so smooth that it felt like a silky one, which made me surprised myself. "How is it? Will it be?" Chen Feifei asked me with a smile. "Hey, senior, please look." I grinned, accelerated directly, took the ball to the bottom of the basket, and then made a jump shot backwards, and the ball entered the frame with a swish and was clean and neat. Everyone around was stunned. Chen Feifei raised his eyebrows and whistled, "Yes, boy, he is a little talent." I laughed wildly in my heart, and on the surface I was so embellished. It's okay, the elders teach well. In fact, all this talent is his, haha. Next, I practiced several more movements, each of which was flowing through the flow, and everyone around the basketball court began to discuss whether I was a hidden master. It was soon the afternoon when school was over. There were already people gathering on the ball court, and Zhang Hao and his followers were waiting around the court. He saw me coming and sneered, "Yeah, the wasteland forest, do you really dare to come? Today I will let you know what the gap is. Stop talking, come." I curled my lips, took off my coat and stood in the center of the venue. Among the followers brought by Zhang Hao, there was a guy named Achang, who was 1.8 meters tall and had a strong body like a bear. Zhang Hao pointed at him and smiled, "Let Achang play with you first, and be hot." Achang grinned, walked to the field, hooked his finger at me, "Come on, boy, don't say I'm bullying you, let you attack first." People around me started to swear, and I didn't want to stop, so I just got the ball. Achang relies on his excellent height and pressure did not take me seriously, but he didn't know that my current skills are different from Chen Fei's level. I made a fake move and directly swayed his defense, then accelerated and pulled down the basket, and the ball was stable into the box with a top basket. What? Achang stood there in a daze, his face full of disbelief. Zhang Hao's face also darkened, and he gritted his teeth and shouted, "Achang, be serious, don't give me and lose your face." Achang was anxious. In the next few rounds, he began to carry me with his body, but I was not afraid of it. The ball was like dancing, swaying left and right, and he couldn't even touch the corner of my clothes. Finally, I made a three-pointer away shot, and the ball entered again, and the people on the field exploded and shouted. "Lin Fan, that's awesome! This technique is so powerful." I wiped my sweat and smiled at Zhang Hao with a provocative smile. "How is it? Are you here?" Zhang Hao's face was green and he suddenly stood up. "Ah Chang, let's go. I'm going to do it myself." But just as he was about to go off the field, someone suddenly shouted at the scene, "Wait, Zhang Hao, you should take a look at this first." The girl was talking, and ran over with her cell phone and turned the screen to Zhang Hao. Zhang Hao looked down and his face became even more difficult to see in an instant. He whispered, "What's this thing?" I was a little curious and glanced over and saw that there was a photo on the screen of my phone. A letter was taken, with my name written on the envelope, and the column of the sender, he wrote the word Xiaoya. My heart skipped a beat and my brain became confused in an instant. What's going on? Xiaoya wrote a letter to me? Is this a love book? Ha, Lin Fan, didn't expect it. Xiaoya's head is actually secretly beating you. Zhang Hao suddenly burst into laughter and raised his eyebrows at me. How is that? Do you want to see this letter? There are a lot of numb words in it. My face was red, my heart beat like a drum, and my mouth was hard. What's the matter with you? This letter is mine, please don't care. Yeah, are you still shy? Zhang Hao put his phone on and read the content in the letter with a loud voice. Lin Fan, I have always wanted to tell you, but in fact Ha, do you want me to continue reading? Close your mouth. I roared angrily, and when I rushed over, I wanted to snatch my phone, but Zhang Hao's guy reacted quickly. Lima threw the phone to the follower next to him, and laughed even more wildly. What's wrong? I'm anxious. Okay, if you want to snatch it back, I won me on the court first. I bit my teeth tightly, my heart was both angry and irritable. Xiaoya, she really likes me? But why haven't you ever told me? If this letter is really sent by Zhang Hao, what should Xiaoya do? No, I must solve this problem. Okay, Zhang Hao, come. I glared at him fiercely, grabbed the ball, and my eyes were full of anger. If I don't defeat you today, I won't call me Lin Fan. Zhang Hao sneered and walked onto the scene. The atmosphere around him suddenly became tight. At this moment, I suddenly heard a familiar voice coming from the side of the field. Lin Fan, come on. I turned my head and saw that it was Xiaoya. She stood behind the crowd, her face pale and her eyes were full of worry. My heart was shocked, and I held the ball tightly, and secretly swore, Xiaoya, no matter whether this letter is true or false, I have to win today. But just as the competition was about to begin, Zhang Hao suddenly grinned at me and said in a low voice, Lin Fan, do you think this is over? Tell you that there is a bigger secret behind this letter. I was stunned. What secret? But before I could figure it out, Zhang Hao had already brought the ball and was overwhelmed. Zhang Hao came over with a ball, his face filled with a provocative smile, as if he had foreseen my desire to be crushed by him. But he didn't know that I now possess Chen Fei's top-level basketball skills, so I don't have any fear of being weak. I slightly turned my head and moved my steps, directly intercepting his attacking route, and forced the ball down from his hand. What? Zhang Hao was stunned, obviously not expecting that I would react so quickly. The audience members around the scene also exploded, and some people couldn't help but shout, bored, Lin Fan's slamming ball is too bad. I ignored those sounds, took the ball and accelerated it, and rushed directly to the other side. Zhang Hao came back to his senses, gritted his teeth and chased after him, and tried to hit me with his body. But I had expected this move, and my brain was full of Chen Fei's combat memory. I easily acted a fake move, swayed his defense, and then made a jump shot from the backwards, and the ball entered the frame with a swish and was clean and neat. 3-0. I turned to Zhang Hao and grinned, deliberately saying in the provocative lingo, how is it, brother Hao, is it over the heat? Zhang Hao's face was blue, and his fists were so tight that he gritted his teeth and growled, Lin Fan, don't be proud, I'm just careless. I'll look good next. Come on your own. I was so proud of my shoulders, and I looked as if I was unbelievable, and I had a happy heart. The system's ability is so simple that no matter how powerful Zhang Hao is, he cannot be a rival to Chen Fei's technology. In the next few rounds, Zhang Haoming became serious and tried his best. His body is good and his speed is fast. He tried several times to break through my defense. But every time I can predict his actions in advance, playing, overtaking people, and throwing, just like opening, making him unable to touch the ball even if he touches it. In less than 10 minutes, the score had reached 10-2, and the cheers at the scene almost became my home. Lin Fan, awesome! Isn't Zhang Hao the main player of the ball team? Why did Lin Fan be abused like this? After hearing these discussions, Zhang Hao's face became more and more difficult to see, and sweat was dripping, and there was a sense of panic in his eyes. He gasped and took advantage of the slightest pause, staring at me fiercely. Lin Fan, did your mother take medicine? Why didn't you know how to get a shot before? Brother Hao, don't waste your time. If you don't have any skills, you'll be fine. What excuses are you looking for? I sneered and deliberately stimulated him. Or, are you so capable? Fuck. Zhang Hao's face turned red by my anger. He grabbed the ball and shouted, I must kill you today. After saying that, he accelerated directly and tried to knock me with a flash of force. But in my opinion, his little trick is no different from a child. I took a relaxed sideways and avoided his impact. Then, while his center of gravity was unstable, I directly blocked the ball and hit the basket again. With a dunk, the ball hit the box hard. The classmates at the side screamed directly, and the atmosphere ignited instantly. 15-2. Lin Fan's dunk is absolutely. Zhang Hao is still a big deal. Go back and practice again. These words pierced Zhang Hao's heart like a knife. He stood in the middle of the field, panting, and his eyes were full of reluctance. I wiped my sweat and hooked my finger at him. What's going on? Are you here yet? If you don't come, put your phone in me. Don't take Xiaoya's stuff and take it away. As soon as Zhang Hao mentioned this, his face changed and he immediately sneered. Want to take it back? Okay, I'll win me again. But this time, we don't play basketball. The school competition will begin immediately. I'll wait for you on the field, running, jumping far, and driving the ball, picking it at will. Do you dare to catch it? My heart was moved. School sports? Isn't this a good opportunity to show my abilities? The system can replicate talents. What sports can I not play? Thinking of this, I pointed at it without hesitation. Okay, I'll see you at school. Don't make excuses again at that time. Haha, it's not certain who makes excuses. Zhang Hao snorted coldly, turned around and left with his follower, and then left. Lin Fan, let's take a look. After the crowd scattered, Xiaoya walked to me, her face still pale, and she asked in a low voice, Lin Fan, are you okay? Zhang Hao's guy didn't have a good intention at first sight. Are you really going to compete with him in school? Don't worry, Xiaoya, I'm a good match. I smiled at her, and I made up my mind to make sure that no matter what Zhang Hao plays, I had to let him shut up. There is also that letter. I must figure out what I wrote. In the next few days, the atmosphere of the school sports became more and more intense. The school was all trainees, and Zhang Hao and his fellow students were no longer bothered me. They probably were holding on to the game and preparing for the competition. I took advantage of this period of time to explore the system's capabilities and found that as long as I contacted the target, I could copy the other party's talent, and it could last for 24 hours each time. Although there are time limits, this short-term competition for school sports has been used. On the day of the school event, there were crowds of people on the playground, colorful flags were flying, and there were exciting music on the speakers, and the atmosphere was very warm. I was wearing sportswear and stood in the competition area, feeling a little nervous, but more excited. Zhang Hao's guy had arrived long ago, wearing a professional sports outfit and showing off his might on the scene with several followers. Seeing me coming, Lima shouted out loud, Lin Fan, are you here? Today I will let you know what real power is. Stop talking, have the project been decided? I replied coldly, and the pressure was not weak. Of course it's decided. Zhang Hao grinned and pointed to the schedule. The first item is 100-meter sprint, the second item is hopping far, the third item is 4x100-meter relay. Winning 2 items is considered a win. How about it? Do you dare? What's there to be afraid of? I felt proud of myself, and my heart began to count. Sprinting and jumping require speed and explosive power. The relay team cooperates with the training team. I can copy these days. As long as I find the right goal, Zhang Hao still has to kneel down. The competition began soon, and the first item was a 100-meter sprint. Zhang Hao stood on the starting line, moving his muscles and bones, looking confident. I swept around the field and quickly set a goal. Lu Yang, the ace of Tian's second year in high school. The guy was the school sprint record holder, and the speed was as fast as the wind. I pretended to be passing by, patted Lu Yang on the shoulder, and said, "Caller, come on." I silently said in my heart, "Copy." Ding! The target talent was detected. Top-level sprint speed. Is it copied? Copy. I confirmed it. Ding! The copy was successful. The top sprint speed has been activated, and the duration lasts for 24 hours. The next second, I felt that my legs were full of strength, as if I could burst out at any time. I walked to the starting line and raised an eyebrow at Zhang Hao. "Brother Hao, are you ready? Don't even see my shadow until then." "What to install?" "Let's see who will arrive first." Zhang Hao sneered and looked up with a good posture. With the referee whistle, we rushed out at the same time. Zhang Hao started very fast, but he was a sportsman with a good foundation. But now I have the talent of Lu Yang, and my speed is as simple as the rockets. I surpassed him in a few steps. In the second half of the year, I directly opened the distance, and half a position faster than him and ended up half a position. Lin Fan number 1. 10.8. Break the school record. The referee shouted out the results excitedly, and the classmates on the field exploded directly, screaming in palm sounds. Bored, why is Lin Fan so fast? Didn't Zhang Hao keep beating himself for running? Why was he so far away? I gasped and turned to look at Zhang Hao. His face was as hard as if he had eaten shit, and he gritted his teeth and said nothing. I smiled at him. "The first scene, I promised it, Brother Hao." "Stop being proud, there are 2 more scenes." Zhang Hao roared and turned away, but his vigor was obviously not that strong. The second jumped far away, and Zhang Hao held his breath and jumped to a 5.6-meter mark, which was indeed good, and the sound of the gain was heard. He smiled at me with a loud smile. "Lin Fan, it's your turn, don't jump 3 meters to make people laugh." I ignored him and directly found the school field team's jump championship and copied the top jump ability. Standing on the running up line, I took a deep breath, then accelerated, stepped hard, and got up in the air. The whole person seemed to fly, directly crossing the 6-meter line. 6.2 meters. New record. The referee's voice was trembling, and the classmates on the scene were even more crazy, and the shouts were shocking. Zhang Hao's face turned black, and he trembled with his fists. I walked over, patted his shoulder, and deliberately said, "Brother Hao, how about it? I'm still better than the 3rd stage? Otherwise, I can understand it now, so I can avoid being wiped out again. Lin Fan, please wait for me." Zhang Hao gritted his teeth and slashed the sentence, turning around and leaving, but everyone could see that he had no ambition to fight at all. In the 3rd relay game, I copied the talents of several field team members, easily won the first place with my teammates, and directly threw Zhang Hao's team halfway. At the end of the competition, I stood on the prize platform, and the sounds and voices of the whole school almost all came to me. Zhang Hao stood on the side of the field, his face so dark that it could drip out of water, and the followers next to him dared not say a word. I threw a provocative look at him, then looked at the audience again, and found that Director Wang was also there. His face was blue and his eyes were full of disbelief. "My fellow Lin Fan is a good student." When he was awarding, the sports teacher patted my shoulder with a smile. "I didn't expect you to be a sports genius. Why didn't you find it before?" Teacher, maybe I've started to speak recently. I felt so happy in my heart. Zhang Hao was trampled under my feet, and Director Wang's expression seemed to be a ghost. This feeling was so simple. After the competition ended, I was about to go to Xiaoya to talk about the letter, but suddenly I was stopped by Director Wang. He stood at the playground, his face as dark as the sky before the rain, and said in a low voice, "Lin Fan, don't think it's amazing to win a few games. School is not your place to go wild. I warn you, stop by, otherwise you will look good." I feel happy. Is this old man still not convinced? Okay, wait and see, I still haven't used my ultimate move. But just as I was about to talk back, my phone suddenly shook. I lowered my head and saw a text message from a strange number. "Lin Fan, I know more about Xiaoya's letter. If you want to talk, come and have a playground." My heart skipped a beat. What was going on? Who issued it? What is the secret of faith? I stared at the text messages on my phone screen, and my heart felt like something was upset. Back playing venue? Who sent this news? What's the secret about Xiaoya's letter? I glanced at Director Wang, who was still calmly on the side of the playground, and felt a little nervous. I don't care. Let's go and take a look first. Today I have already stepped on Zhang Hao to the point of being out of temper, and are you still afraid who will come to find fault? I put my cell phone away and walked towards the back of the playground. As the sun sets, there are few people behind the scene, only the shadows of a few old trees are pulled to the top. I walked to the agreed place and looked around, but no one saw it. Just as I was about to be sad, a sound of footsteps suddenly came from behind, and I turned around suddenly, but it turned out to be Zhang Hao who saw him. "Lin Fan, come very quickly." Zhang Hao sneered at the corner of his mouth, shaking his cell phone in his hand, his eyes full of tickling. "How did you receive my text message?" "Zhang Hao, is it you?" I sniffed my eyebrows, and my heart was filled with anger. "Stop playing this trick with me. If you have any questions, don't just talk about these things." "Flower?" "Ha, Lin Fan, aren't you very capable at school today? Why, don't you dare to chat with me alone now?" Zhang Hao walked closer step by step, his voice softening. "I tell you, I'm not talking nonsense about that letter. Xiaoya has written a lot of things, and it's not just a simple confession." My heart skipped a beat, clenched my fists, and asked firmly, "What do you mean? Just say if you have any questions, don't sell me." Zhang Hao smiled, approached me, and said in a low voice, "I wrote in the letter that she not only likes you, but also talked about some things in your family. She said that you have always been very despised since your father and mother divorced. She felt sorry for you and wanted to help you. What a pity, she dared not give it to you directly, for fear that your self-esteem would not be able to stand it. How about this secret? Is this secret so furious?" When I heard this, my brain buzzed, as if I was struck by lightning. Xiaoya knows about my family? She feels sorry for me? Over the years, I have never mentioned any trouble at home to anyone, and even Xiaoya is worried, but how could she know? In an instant, my face was hot, both ashamed and angry, and I stared at Zhang Hao and shouted, "Your mother is talking nonsense. How is this letter in your hands? Say." "Yeah, are you anxious?" Zhang Hao looked unpretentious and said, "I accidentally fell into the classroom and was beaten by me. Why do you want to take it back? Okay, let's compare the other game. If you don't play sports this time, you will be more courageous. Do you dare to be in front of the whole school and admit that you are a waste that no one wants, and I will return it to you." "Zhang Hao, you're looking for death." I was so angry that I shook my body and wanted to beat him up. But Zhang Hao was ready, and suddenly two followers came out behind him, one left and the other was holding me. He sneered and took a few steps back, then put on his phone and shook it. "Don't worry, Lin Fan, think about it before you start. If I send this letter to the school forum, where will Xiaoya's face bend? Where will your face bend?" I gritted my teeth and clenched my fists, but I didn't dare to move. He said correctly, if this letter was really made public, Xiaoya would definitely be discussed and I would have to face it myself. I felt aggrieved in my heart, but I suddenly thought of the system. Yes, I also have a system. No matter how lucky this guy is, he can't compare to the talents I copied. Okay, Zhang Hao, you want to play, right? Okay, I'll accompany you. I looked at him coldly, and my brain flew quickly, but this time I'm not brave. Let's compare learning. I'll get the monthly exam tomorrow. Whoever scores are high and who will win? Who will apologize? How about the people who have won? Compete with learning? Zhang Hao was stunned and laughed immediately. Lin Fan, your brain is flooded, right? You dare to compete with me with your broken results? Okay, I'll take it. Who is crying is not sure. I curled my lips and turned around, leaving, and I had already made up my mind. When I learn this, I just need to copy Li Ming's talent again. No matter how hard Zhang Hao jumps, he will have to kneel down. As for that letter, I must find a way to get it back, and I cannot let Xiaoya be wrong because of me. When I got home in the evening, I found out the course book, and my brain was full of Xiaoya and the letter. The more I think about it, the more I feel, I simply don't think about it and focus on preparing for tomorrow's monthly exam. The next morning, I went straight to the school, found Li Ming, patted him on the shoulder, silently recited and copied, and easily took over his super strong learning ability. Ding! The copy was successfully copied, the super strong learning ability has been activated, and it lasted for 24 hours. With this ability, monthly exams are just like playing. On the exam, I was like flying, math, English, physics, and I wrote every subject so much that I saved time for inspection. While handing over the paper, I glanced at Zhang Hao, who was not far away. The guy was still scratching his ears and cheeks, and his face was tight. I guess he hadn't finished half of the questions. Sure enough, the results were announced 2 days later, and I directly crushed the whole school with the first place in the total score, and Zhang Hao did not even enter the top 10. The head teacher expressed my praise at the class meeting, saying that I was the biggest black horse in this period. The whole class applauded. Director Wang, who had always looked down on me, said nothing. He sat aside with a tinge of his face, and couldn't hold up a word. After school, I blocked Zhang Hao at the gym. As soon as he saw me, his face changed and he stammered, Lin Fan, if you are trying this, you are a disaster, but... Stop talking. I stopped him and said coldly, okay, I apologized. Now the whole school is watching. Come on, brother Hao, don't let everyone down. Zhang Hao gritted his teeth, his face turned pale and white, and there were already a bunch of classmates around him, talking and talking. He knew that if he didn't recognize him, he would be even more disgusted. He finally lowered his head, held his anger in his stomach, and said in a low voice, I'm sorry, Lin Fan, I shouldn't have bullied you before, it's me that I'm wrong. As soon as this sentence was said, my classmates around me exploded directly. Some people applauded, some whistled, and several shouted directly, Lin Fan is awesome. I felt so happy in my heart, and I finally vomited out after 3 years of affliction. I looked at Zhang Hao and said lightly, I believe me, let's go to the 2. Zhang Hao had no choice but to take out a letter from his pocket and slander me, leaving without looking back. With the letter, my heart beat a little fast. I turned around and found a quiet corner, took a deep breath, and opened the envelope. On the letter, Xiaoya's handwriting is graceful and neat, and she opens her head and writes, Lin Fan, I have always wanted to tell you that I have liked you for a long time. From childhood to adulthood, you have always been so stubborn. Although I don't say it, I know you have not been easy. I heard about your family, but I never think you are a waste. In my eyes, you are more harmful than anyone else. I dare not say it in person, so I can only write it in this letter. I hope that one day you will see. Seeing this, my eyes were a little sore and my hands were shaking slightly. Xiaoya, she really understands me, even better than myself. I held the letter, and there was a warm current in my heart, but there was more guilt. She has been with me silently over the years, but I have never been brave enough to tell her my feelings. No, I have to tell her clearly. I put away the letter and ran back to the classroom, and found that Xiaoya was no longer in her seat. I asked a few classmates and found out that she had gone to the studio. I felt anxious and hurried over and found her in the corner of the bookroom. She was reading a book with her head down, her horse's tail hanging lightly on her shoulders, and the sun came in from the window, making her face a little red. Xiaoya. I walked over with a breath, my voice a little bit graceful. I have something to tell you. She raised her head and saw the letter in my hand. Her face turned red. She quickly stood up and asked in a low voice, Lin Fan, why did you have this letter? I just took it back. I looked at her, took a deep breath, and poured out a brain in my heart. Xiaoya, I read the letter, I know what you want to me. To be honest, I like you too, I have liked you for a long time, but I didn't have the courage to say before, afraid that I would not be worthy of you. But now it's different. I don't want to be a bag anymore. I want to be with you. Do you want to? Xiaoya was stunned in place, her eyes suddenly turned red, and she only lit her head after a while. Her voice was so low that she could hardly hear, I want to. At that moment, my heart felt like a smoke was blown away. All the pressure, a grievance, and anger were gone, leaving only full of happiness. I plucked up my courage and hugged her lightly. She didn't push it away, leaning against my shoulder, the air was full of sweet smell. In the next few days, my name finally became a legend in the school. Zhang Hao apologized to the public for the first place in the monthly exam, the school champion, and this incident spread throughout every class, and even the other grades began to discuss me. Zhang Hao never dared to bother me again since then. He walked away when he saw me, but he finally lost his previous storm. Director Wang may be too outrageous to me because I am too successful and dare not tell me. At a school-wide conference, he even praised me, saying that I was a ranking of the comprehensive development of learning in physical education. Although my face was still so bad, I knew that this old man had long been convinced. Xiaoya and I are getting better and better. Although I don't say it clearly, the whole class can see that we are different. After school, we often go for a walk together or play in the studio. Every time she smiles, I feel that I am the happiest person in the world. Once, I stood on the playground and looked at the campus under the sun, and suddenly I felt like I was dreaming. From a bullied waste to the current school-wide legend, although the system has helped me, I know that the most important thing is that I have not given up. Zhang Hao lowered his head, Director Wang recognized it, and Xiaoya became my most important person. All of this is worth it. Lin Fan, what are you thinking? Xiaoya's voice came from the side. She walked to me with 2 bottles of water and smiled. It's nothing, I just think that life is so good now. I took the water, grinned, and turned her hand. In the future, no matter what, I will protect you and will never let others bully us again. Xiaoya's face turned red and she said lightly, well, I believe you. Under the sunset, our shadows were the elders, and there were also classmates laughing and joking at the playground, but I only had one thought in my heart, this is the life I want, to go against the end, and to the end.